Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Birch and Lily, my video log podcast about knitting and cross stitch. Today is February 18th, 2020, and I am coming at you with a whole bunch of knitting. I don't have any cross stitch this week, unfortunately again. But I had a lot of commitment knitting to do, and I'm hoping now that I've completed a decent amount of that, I can pull out the cross stitch again a little bit here and there. So hopefully next episode I will have some cross stitch to show you guys again. But yeah, thank you so much if you're coming back and watching me again. And if you've just found me and you're checking me out for the first time, thank you so much. I hope you find something that you enjoy. There are two places that you can find me on the internet. The first is on Instagram at birch.and.lily, and the second is on Ravelry at birchandlily. If you have any questions about what I talk about today on this episode, you can find the show notes down below in the description. So we might as well jump into what I'm wearing first. This is, I'm going to call it a finished object. It's not fully finished, but I'll call it a finished object because I haven't fully decided if it's fully finished, if that makes sense. But this is my west-facing wrap. It is a pattern by Lindsey Fowler of Lost and Fond, which she will be releasing soon. I'm not 100% sure on the date yet, but if I can figure it out, it'll be down in the show notes for you guys. But this I have knit out of Knit Picks Swish DK in the colorway Marble Heather. I used what needle did I use? I used a 3.5 millimeter needle, a US4, to knit this. I did have to go down quite a bit needle size wise. My gauge was quite off. It is still a little bit off, but not enough that it really changed yardage too much on me. Sorry, I have a hair in my face. Yeah, so I knitted out of Knit Picks. It is so soft. It just finished blocking this morning. This is the first time I've worn it, and oh my goodness, I love it so much. It's so squishy and cozy and incredible. I'm very pleased with the quality of this Knit Picks yarn. And yeah, I might as well shuffle my mic around and all that so that I can show you the full thing off of my neck. So I will do that. So if you watched my last episode, you would know that I was about halfway done with this shawl on the last episode. And this is one of the major things that has been taking up my knitting time, just because I wanted to get it off the needles so that I could get my notes back to Lindsey in a timely manner, because I am testing this pattern for her. And yeah, I ended up, there are two sizes available in the pattern, or there will be, a medium and a large, and I ended up knitting the large, mostly in hopes that I could use up some stash yarn. I can never hold these shawls up. I swear I drop them in every episode. But this is the shawl. So it's huge. But I'm okay with that. Like, I was sitting there in front of the lights, which usually I'm pretty warm in front of, and I was fine. So it's definitely cozy and pretty and not too warm. So this is it, kind of held out. And if you can see here, so you start the, she calls them garlands, up against the edge like this. And then when you get to the other side, they fade off. Now the pattern calls for tassels on the end of each of these garland panels. There are 4 with the large size, and that is what I'm not sure about. I may make the tassels and put them on just so my photos for Lindsey do have them, but I may not secure them in a permanent way so that if I change my mind I can take them off, because I quite like it without them, to be honest. And since it's so large, I'm not sure how it would look wrapped around my neck with just tassels on the one side, because it definitely drapes a lot once I put it on. So yeah, we'll see about that. But there she is. This took, I haven't taken final measurements yet. I guess I'll sit down now. So I was blocking a lot of stuff yesterday, and my original plan was to lay this shawl or wrap out on our spare bedroom bed, which is a full size. And it did not fit. I ended up having to lay it out on the floor, which is fine. I had a room I could lay it out in that our puppy wouldn't get at it. But it's large. So I'll have to get my final measurements and stuff taken for it. So that I can get those off to Lindsey, and just for my own curiosity's sake. Yeah. I guess the only other thing I can say is I used about, if I round up, about 1,300 yards to knit this up, which when using the Knit Picks Swish yarn is quite economical in price. It's not too bad. They come in 50-gram balls. Have any with me? No, I don't. They come in 50-gram balls. And I think they're only about $5 or $6 each. Don't quote me on it, but yeah, pretty economical and well-priced knit, and it is so soft. I'm curious to see though how it will hold up because it's so soft. I believe it's 100% merino, but I've never felt 100% merino yarn that is this squishy and soft. So yeah, I guess we'll see how it holds up, and I'll try and remember to keep you guys posted on that. But that is my west facing wrap. I love it so much that I put it back on, which is not normal for me because usually I'm too warm and I don't want to wear any knitting while I'm recording. So that says something. Anyways, I have 3 other finished objects to show you guys. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen yesterday that I was frantically blocking all of them at once in hopes that they would be dry for recording today, and they were, which is super exciting because usually that's not the case. And I'm like, here's my slightly soggy knit project for you to see. So no soggy projects today. So let's jump into my vanilla socks that I've been working on since around Christmas, actually. These are knit out of Knit Picks Felici in the Raspberry Beret colorway, and they're done. So here are my 2 socks. To those people that know me quite well, I always match up my stripes. So it was quite a shock to my husband. I'm sure it will be a shock to some other people as well that the stripes don't match. I just wasn't feeling digging through the second ball of yarn and trying to match them up. And honestly, this doesn't bother me. And they're more of, I knit these with 64 stitches, which is not normal for me when I'm knitting a stockinette sock. Usually I'll do 60, but I knit these with 64 mostly because I just wanted them to be more of a slipper sock. I know that Knit Picks Felici is not the most hard-wearing sock yarn. Even though it has nylon, it's very soft, and I find it pills kind of quickly. So I figured I would just do a slipper sock that I could wear for lounging around the house. So 64 stitches is perfect for that for me. I did a 2 by 2 rib. This is an afterthought heel here. I always use the tutorial from Kirby Werby on YouTube. If you Google that or search it here on YouTube, you should be able to find it. If you can't, I'll try and remember to have it linked down below. But that is the afterthought heel I use, and just a wedge toe. I used my typical 2.25 millimeter needles for this. And yeah, these will be put into rotation right away. I'm very excited to wear them and very hopeful that my puppy will not chew them when they're on my feet. The next finished object that I have to show you guys is actually a pattern of mine. I knit up a sample of it out of some Sugarplum Circus yarn for Jensen of Sugarplum Circus. I had originally knit this shawl using 2 different yarn bases of hers, but the twisty singles base was discontinued. So she asked me if I would be willing to re-knit this up in all these same base, are her smooth sock base. Yes, her smooth sock base, her 75-25. So I said, of course. So I did that. I knit it up. It is all blocked. I just have to take photos, take measurements, do a little bit of that, and I will be updating the pattern itself with those new photos and measurements for you guys. But I need to stand up again. So here is the Sweet Dahlia Shawl. I released this pattern, I think last summer in 2019. But I absolutely love these colors. It's so sweet and pretty. So the pink that you see here is the colorway Whisper, and the light cream is Oat. Has this gorgeous lace pattern and just lots of squishy garter and striping. It is knit at quite a loose gauge. I call for a 3.5 millimeter needle. Of course, you'll need to use whatever you can to meet your gauge. But yeah, I am so pleased with this. It actually came out a little bit larger, not using the single space, and I'm quite pleased with that. I think it'll be a lot easier to wrap around and wear comfortably, but it's nice and light for spring, summer. It's definitely not a cozy, warm shawl like this one. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with this. This will be getting mailed off to Jensen to use after I am done with it. She's going to be using it at a couple shows, so I'm excited for that. Yeah. So I will be re-releasing that pattern, like I said, in the next couple weeks. Depends how long it takes for me to get nice light and background for photos. It's kind of yucky outside right now. It's like in between spring and winter. So once I get those photos and the measurements and everything, I will get that re-released. And when I do so, I will make sure to let you guys know. If you have purchased it already, the update will be sent automatically to your Ravelry account. So no worries about that. You will get it no matter what. Yeah, Sweet Dahlia Shawl. I have one more finished object. These are my Fir Socks, a pattern by Melody Hoffman. I have knit these out of Woolberry Fiberco yarn in the sock set Don't Let Them See You Sweat, Dear. This is a Gilmore Girls sock set, so I don't think it is available anymore. But if I put this close, you can see the gorgeous texture on these socks. I don't want to give too much away in explaining how it's done because it is a paid for pattern, but absolutely beautiful. It's a modified 1x1 rib, I guess is the best way to put it. I cast on 64 stitches for this on a 2.25 millimeter needle. Yeah, modified 1x1 rib. The pattern from the leg carries down onto the heel flap, which is super neat. And then just a regular wedge toe on here. Yeah, nothing super special about these. I've been working on them for a couple weeks now. I'm excited to have them done. And yeah, more socks. Are you surprised? I'm not. It's mostly all of what I knit. So yeah, I get really awkward when I don't know what to say. Okay, I think I'm going to lay this across the back of my seat because I don't want it to get wrinkled before I take pictures. There we go. Okay. So, I have lots of works in progress, mostly all socks. Not gonna apologize, I love socks. So, the first pair of socks that I will show you guys is a new cast on. You have not seen it before. I'm absolutely loving it. Surprisingly, actually, I cast these on I think last Thursday, and what you're gonna see, I knit all in one day. I have not worked on these since. I want to work on them, but I was getting shawls done. So the high desert socks that I'm working on are in this bag. Oh no, There was a little tag. Oh, no, it's right there. The tag is right here. They're in a bag from the Scrappy Thread. These are a DK weight pair of socks. And holy cow, DK weight socks are fun. And everyone's getting them now because they are knitting up, like I said, so fast. So this pair of socks is made, it's designed by Lindsey Fowler. I don't know if I said that, but it is made to use up scraps, which I love because I have lots of scraps, tons and tons and tons of scraps. So these are the scraps that I'm using for this pair of socks. This is an unnamed colorway by Hey Sister Yarn Co. It was from their Ugly Christmas Sweater sock set from 2019. So that is that. It's on their 75-25 base Allon-sy. This is also by Hey Sister Yarn Co. Same base, is 75-25 in Autumn Crush. And this final one here is from Fiber for the People. It is Cactus Flower on their Loft base, 75-25 as well. So that Cactus Flower colorway is the main color that I'm using for these socks, and then the other two contrast colors get alternated throughout. And here you have it. This is my first high desert sock. So you can see that unnamed Hey Sister colorway is up in the cuff here. Autumn Crush is in these two stripes. And that unnamed colorway is here and on the heel flap as well. And then the rest of it is just alternating the Cactus Flower. There's two strands of it used at once. I am using, what needles am I using? A US 2.5, a 3mm needle for these socks. I believe a US 3 is called for. I will put this on a blocker really quick. So yeah, I got all this done in one day. I was sitting at Starbucks for maybe 2 hours and I got all this done. So it knits up so fast. It's so cozy. It fits so well. It's nice and snug and warm. Yeah, I can't wait to knit these for everyone. Just knowing the basic, like the stitch count that I need and that sort of stuff is even super helpful. Like, I can't say that I will do this striping that the pattern calls for on every single sock, but just knowing, okay, for this size foot, I'd cast on this many stitches and blah, blah, blah. That in itself is so worth this pattern to me. So yeah, very pleased. Can't wait to have this pair done. I feel like I'm going to wear these all the time because my feet are always cold. And I love my fingering weight socks, but they're just sometimes not warm enough. So to have a DK weight sock, I'm so excited for. Beautiful pattern, Lindsey. Loving knitting these. They knit up so fast. Perfect for gift knitting because they knit up so fast. And yeah, I can't wait to keep working on them. The next thing I have to show you is another new cast on. This is out of the gorgeous 52 Weeks of Socks book that Lina Magazine just released on Valentine's Day. I still don't like how I'm centered here. There, that's better. Yeah, this is out of the gorgeous 52 Weeks of Socks book. Actually, I have it right here. Unfortunately, my puppy chewed the corner. I made the poor mistake of leaving it on the couch while I was away at a friend's house, and my husband was watching the dog. Apparently not very much, and she chewed on it. So the pages inside are okay. The cover's a little discolored and smushed. But this is the 52 Weeks of Socks book, and can I find a picture in here without giving away the pattern? I don't know. Let's see. This is the one I'm knitting. It is called Branches. It's the pattern by Amanda Jones. And it's so pretty. So these socks are in a bag by Sandy by the Lakeside. I'm knitting them on 2.25 millimeter needles. I cast on 64 stitches, and needle stuck. This is where I am. So these are my Branches socks. They're absolutely gorgeous. I just love how they don't really have like a ribbed cuff. Actually, I'll put them on a blocker so you can see a little better what I'm talking about. So they don't have ribbing, but there's enough going on with this beautiful lace that they fit just fine, nice and snug. They're definitely complex. You definitely have to pay attention. There's a couple charts that you're working from at once. I would say if I had one complaint about the pattern, I wish that everything was in one chart. I know that probably would have taken up more space though. I see why they did what they did. But yeah, I love having something like this though, where I can just like totally focus on the knitting and nothing else. And I don't know, sometimes I just need something complex like this. So it's been really fun and I'm really enjoying it. This is knit out of another one of my Woolberry Fiber Co. Gilmore Girls sock sets. This is Miss Patty's Founder's Day Punch on their berry sock base, which is a 80/20. So this is the main color, and I will be using the mini for I think the heel and the toe. It just didn't really work. Whew, this is a mess. It just didn't really work to use it because there is not really a cuff. But this is blowing out. Let's see. There, you can kind of see it a little bit better. It's a cream with lots of like creamsicle orangey sort of colors. So that will be what I use for the heel and the toe on both socks. And I'll give you a better look at the cake of the main color. Super pretty. So yeah, I would say these fit snug, but that's how you want socks to fit anyways, so I wouldn't say it's a problem. If you usually cast on 64 stitches, 64 stitches should be fine. I do think the pattern calls for a 2.5 millimeter needle though, but I just used my usual 2.25 because I know that's what I'm happy with gauge-wise for my socks. Okay, let's throw something a little bit different in the middle here, shall we? This is my everyday slouchy beanie. If you watched last episode, you would know that I was contemplating ripping back part of it. I just wasn't happy with the gauge of the hat after I had finished the brim. So I did end up ripping it back. I was originally using the called for, I think it was a 3.5 millimeter needle for this portion of the hat. So it has, this is a pattern by Dragon Horde Design. And it has a folded brim here. So you use a provisional cast on to do that. And it calls for a 2.25 millimeter needle. Very happy with the gauge on the folded brim. But then I got to the rest of the hat, the body of it, and using the 3.5 millimeter needle made such a loose gauge. I think part of the reason was this pattern calls to hold mohair with the fingering weight yarn, and I didn't want to. I just wanted to use fingering weight. So I think that was part of the reason why it looked so loose, but I just was not happy with the gauge. So I dropped down to a 2.75 millimeter needle. That is a US 2. And I'm much happier with it now. There's still that little bit of a difference, and it makes it a little bit slouchier than the brim because it is supposed to be a slouchy beanie, but it doesn't let too much light through. It's not so see-through and loose. This colorway here is a single pearl from Woolberry Fiber Co. on their 100% merino base, berry merino. And yeah, I'm really excited to get this done and be able to wear it. I really don't own any hats or headbands or anything like that for the colder weather. So I want to finish this, and I have a headband pattern as well that is in my queue that I would like to cast on soon. Just for when I'm taking my dog for walks and stuff. It's a lot nicer to just put a hat or a headband on than have to pull the hood of my coat up and then not really be able to see around everywhere. I don't know. But very happy with the gauge on this now, and I will continue to work on it, and maybe I'll have it done by next episode. That would be nice because the weather's getting warmer and I would like to wear it at least once before it's too hot to wear it anymore. Okay, back to socks. This is another pattern by Lindsey Fowler. This is the Nightwalk socks. I blanked for a second there. In my studio in the green bag. I still have not been able to find her page anywhere, so I unfortunately can't link this down below. If anyone does know where she sells her products, please link it down below for me. I would love to let you guys know, but I can't find her. So this is my Nightwalk socks. I am knitting them out of another Woolberry Fabric Co. Gilmore Girls sock set. They will be done soon. They're in front of me. I use the thing that holds them to prop everything up on. Let me count. Very hard to count. They're stacked in with a bunch of other stuff, but I think I have about 4 or 5 left. And then I started getting the Woolberry Fabric Co. literary sock set thingamajig. So now I have more. But if I'm caught up and I knit those right away, there'll be less of a problem, right? I guess. I don't know. So this sock set is 1,000 Yellow Daisies. Here's the main color. It's a gray with a lot of little orange, yellow, green sort of speckles, and that is what I have left of the mini. So I have one sock done. It deserves a blocker. So here's the one completed sock. I was almost on the foot on the last episode. So these socks use minis in a very unique way. You just use it up here in the top of the leg, and then there's this gorgeous color work pattern using the main color throughout. This is an Eye of Partridge heel flapping gusset and a normal, well, not really normal, it's more of a rounded toe. The instructions for it are in the pattern, and I don't want to give them away because it is paid for. 2x2 rib. I cast on 64 stitches on 2.25 millimeter needles, and I did end up making the heel flap a little bit shorter than what the pattern calls for because I just knew that I would have too much room in my instep if I didn't. It is still a little bit baggy for my liking, but it should be just fine. Once I block it, all of that kind of snugs up and fixes itself. If you're wondering, these stitch markers are here. They're every 10 rows so that I know exactly how many rows to put in on my next sock so that they're the same. I guess I'll show you the other sock and how far I've got. Oh, almost lost my mini. So this is my second sock. I am past the heel flap and the turn and all of that and working on the foot of the sock. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 stitch markers there. So I have about 30 more rows and the toe left to do on this sock. And I'm loving it. And seriously, I've been switching all of my socks over slowly to these Chiaogu mini twist needles because this cable is so flexible and wonderful, and I never get ladders up the side of my socks if I'm using these needles, and everything slides so nicely. They're just wonderful needles, absolutely wonderful. If you have not had a chance to try them, I highly recommend them. You can buy the tips and the cords separately. You don't have to buy them in a full set. So that's what I've been doing because I really only use the 2.25 millimeter ones. but they make for the best sock knitting. The stitches just fly off the needles. So yeah, here are my night walk socks. These will definitely be done by next episode, and I'm so excited for that. And finally, it would not be an episode without a pair of vanilla socks, would it? And vanilla self-striping, of course. These are in a bag by Tiny Human Knits. And if you were here and you watched last episode, you would know that my goal was to try and do 2 at a time socks again. What I was thinking was to cast on multiple different colorways though, and have a couple different sock pairs being worked on at the same time, if that makes sense. I think I had mentioned maybe doing 3 socks at a time. I've only done 2. That is plenty for me, and it's still super fun and it's working. I've tried 2 at a time socks before, and they were always pattern socks, and I hated it. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. Tension was off, ladders like crazy up the sides of the socks. I just hated it. But doing them vanilla is wonderful, and I may have taken this project to the movies on the weekend, and I was able to knit 2 at a time vanilla socks in the movies, which also made me really happy. So yeah, success. I'm loving this. Let me show you the socks. Okay, so here we have it. 2 different colorways going at once. This one here, we'll start with this one, is from Tiny Human Knits. This is her 31 colorway, self-striping, and she sent me this mini as a gift with the self-striping when I purchased it. So this is also from Tiny Human Knits, but that is, yes, the 31 colorway. And this here, oh, and this is on her, goodness, this is on her 2-ply fingering base. It is a 80/20. And this here is a self-striping colorway from Knitterly Things, called Lightning in a Bottle, on their Vesper sock base, also in 80/20. And this mini is from Woolberry Fiber Co. It was one of my Advent minis from 2018. So yeah, this is how far I've got on both of these. I'm loving it. It's fun to see 2 colorways working up at once and see, I don't know, there's more excitement because you're waiting for 2 different colored stripes to show up, if that makes sense. But these are on 2.25 millimeter needles. Again, my Chiago mini twist. I'm using 100 centimeter, I believe that's 40-inch cable on these, and I cast on 60 stitches for each sock. Basically how I did this, I cast on both of the cuffs separate of each other on 2 different needles, and then I put the cuffs both on this pair of needle and started knitting the self-striping. I have no idea how you would cast on 2 cuffs on 1 pair of needles at the same time. That just seems like a disaster to me. So yeah, I did the cuffs both separately and then put them together. So I'm absolutely loving both of these. They're so pretty. Let me show you both cakes. Like, look at that. That is so pretty. I really want to, with the leftovers of this, because I never use up 1 ball of self-striping for 1 pair of socks for myself, at least a 100-gram one. The Tiny Human Knits skeins come in 50 grams, so I'll definitely use up that whole skein. But I would love to take this and marl it with just like a, I don't know, something more plain, and doing another pair of high desert socks with this and something plain, and not doing any striping or anything, just holding them together the whole time. I think it would be so pretty. And then here is 31. So yeah, these come in the 50-gram skeins, which is perfect. The price is a little bit more economical for self-striping. And this is all I really need for a sock anyways, if I'm doing a contrasting cuff, toe, and heel. So that is my final project for this episode. Like I said, I have no cross stitch. I am a little sad about that, but I've just been busy with knitting stuff, and knitting is my first love. So if it needs to be done, it gets attention before cross stitch. So someone just banged on my window, and that was insanely creepy. Now I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, I'll have cross stitch next episode. And the other thing I wanted to say, I had asked you guys about doing knit with me videos on last episode, and I got really good response to that. I was going to film one last week, but my puppy got spayed and she needed my attention, so I wasn't able to do that, but I am planning on filming a knit with me next week. So keep an eye out on my Instagram. I will put a question up in my stories, or a spot to ask me questions in my stories, so I will be answering all of your questions on my knit with me next week. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if this is your first time, I really hope you enjoyed. And to everyone, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And hit the bell so you get notifications when I post a new video. Doing that and liking the video and just making yourself present, I guess, is the best way to put it, really gets my video out there so that other people can see it and enjoy what I'm working on knitting-wise as well. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great next couple weeks. I'll see you later. Bye.